So, it's been about a year since my horrible ranking of all the Fortnite seasons, and in that year, we finished possibly the worst chapter this game has ever seen. And because the last one did super well, I decided I'm going to rank all the seasons from Chapter 5 horribly and incorrectly, of course. I was originally going to include the Chapter 2 remix in this ranking, but everybody knows that it was just going to be first anyway, because like I said, this chapter was so buns. But because this chapter was so horrible, it was also pretty difficult for me to get a ranking for it, considering that all the positive of these seasons were weighed out heavily by the negatives. But I eventually did come up with a ranking that I was satisfied with, and will you guys agree with it? Most likely not. But before we fully begin with the ranking, if you guys do go to enjoy this video and me as a whole, consider subscribing and maybe also joining my Discord server. It really helps me out, and I honestly appreciate it a whole ton. But anyway, get your Flowberry Fizz and pitchforks ready, everybody. Let's begin with the ranking.
Oh my gosh, this is so freaking epic. Holy crap, Donald Trump.
Hello, Peter. Welcome to Fortnite.
Oh god, I'm gonna see the hate comments. But yes, at last place, I got Season 1. But don't worry, before y'all guys yell at me, I have my reasons. First off, worst starting map we've ever gotten. Like, a third of the locations were just one singular huge building, and the others were just towns. No creativity at all. Now, don't get me wrong, Hazy Hillside was a peak location. The same thing with Ritzy Riveria, both amazing locations. But compared to some of the other locations we got later this chapter, they were actually unique and cool and not just a town. Both of these locations seem super mid. This was also the longest season in this chapter, and being on this bland map for 3 months straight was just not that fun, honestly. I mean, like halfway through the season, the ice melted. Cool. Still boring. Let's also not forget about the absolute abysmal movement at the start of this season. Yes, it did get fixed later, but the damage was already done. Also, let's talk about the Winterfest for this year too. No Crackshot's cabin, which already sucks. Barely any map changes besides from like one mini location on the side of the map. Also no Sergeant Winter Sleigh, which probably didn't annoy a lot of people, but made me pretty upset. Although I will say, this Winterfest did give us the first LTM that we have gotten in a long time, which was super fun, so I'm gonna give it some points for that. This season also gave us my least favorite shotgun of all time, the Frenzy Auto. Some positives about this season, though, is the TMNT collab, but still, bad side about it, we can only use one weapon at a time. Also, this also ruined the best vehicle in Fortnite history, the hoverboard, with giving it a stupid charge. The train was cool, too, but I think after, like, the first week, everyone stopped caring about it, and the main attraction to this chapter, the weapon mods, were also cool. RIP to X-Scope, you will be missed. But then again, I just feel like everybody stopped caring about them, especially after the removal of them in vaults the very next season. Medallions were cool, too. That was a really cool addition, don't get me wrong. Getting all 5 of them before the nerf was just so amazing and satisfying. The collabs this season were also pretty cool too. Like I said, TMNT was pretty cool, but Solid Snake was also a very cool skin, even though his items were super mid. And who could possibly forget finally getting our GOAT, Peter Griffin. Speaking of Peter Griffin, the Battle Pass was pretty good too. Besides from Peter Griffin, Hope was a really cool tier 1 skin, and Valeria wasn't the best tier 100 we've gotten, but she was still pretty good in my opinion. Also, I forgot to put this in the script, but the Pandora's Box event was pretty cool, and I liked how it was interactive as well.
Zeus, your son has returned. Zeus, your son has returned. I come, seeking the...
Now, I know some people are gonna say this season was absolutely booty cheeks. And yes, it has its flaws, but those flaws were also what makes the season kind of fun. Starting off with the oh-so-scary lightning bolt everybody was afraid of. I'm sorry, but if you actually think this thing was OP, then you're just bad. This thing was so easy to avoid, and this is coming from a zero build player. Before the nerf, it was a little broken, yes, especially because we could go through builds, but all you had to do was just... But after the nerf, whenever it could no longer go through builds, it became practically useless in builds. Also, again, you could just... Speaking about the chain, let's talk about the Chain of Hades. Yes, this thing was super broken. Did it need like 60 buffs? No. But was this thing fun to use? Also, yes. This thing was super fun to me, but did not need to do a full combo over 200 damage. But using this thing and sniping people out of the air was just so satisfying to do. The wings were a little decent mode of mobility, and the River of Styx was a super fun mechanic and also great mobility. And like, besides from Brawler's Battleground, all the locations were really awesome. The medallions this season were also pretty cool and a huge step up from last season, besides from Ares, of course. That sucks. Zeus's agility medallion was super cool. Hades has brought back Siphon, which is always a plus, and Cerberus's agility medallion might actually be the best medallion we've got this chapter. The Battle Pass this season was also the first in a while to have all good skins and actually fit the theme of the season. And then there's Korra. Speaking of Korra, let's talk about the main thing people remember this season for, Avatar. Without the Avatar collab, this season would 100% be in last. The waterbending was pretty much just a sniper and an AR combined to one, and was insanely broken. I loved it and everything, but it should have gotten vaulted with the other Avatar items. Airbending is probably the best mobility we've ever gotten. This thing was just so good. Oh! Earth and fire bending were also fun to use, but just can't compare to the others. But after the collab ended, this season did just get really boring, and the mini event was cool, but also on a school day, which sucked. Also, the seasonal Star Wars event happened this season, but it was so mid, I forgot to put it in the script. Yeah, this being here is definitely going to get me executed, but second place is Season 4. This season was incredibly fun at the start. The jetpack was awesome before it got Omega nerfed. Cap's shield and War Machine's arsenal were OP but fun. That stupid little auto turret was basically essential to winning. Shuri's claws sucked. Yeah, I have nothing really good to say about those. But these items made the game feel super fun at first. But after a few weeks, they did get super annoying, and they removed the jetpack at the end of the season, which I actually loved so much. The return of the Iron Man weapons were a fun addition, and the flight kit, besides from airbending, is probably the greatest form of mobility Fortnite has ever seen. The Doom Island was OP, yes, but fun to try and fight for, and don't lie, if you were able to capture it, it was so fun to just destroy people with. The medallions were also really good this season, besides from Mysterios, of course. Doom's brought back Siphon, which is, again, a plus, and Emma's, perfection. The Battle Pass this time around was another Marvel one, which, no complaints there. Actually, maybe a few. I love that they added my GOAT, Gwenpool, to the game, and War Machine, Shuri, Mysterio, and Doom. I have no complaints about them being in. These guys, on the other hand, out of all characters, why did they pick Emma Frost? I can maybe understand their decision why they didn't just fully fill out the battle pass with just Marvel skins, but the one other character, Emma, just feels so weird to me, especially because the main villain of the season is Dr. Doom. Seems perfect to get any member of the Fantastic Four up in here. But let's go back to the combo skins. These should have been item shop skins. Instead of these, we could have gotten the Fantastic Four. Okay, battle pass aside, let's talk about the Fortnite. Super disappointing that they kind of just stopped with the Marvel theme of the season at the moment Halloween hit, but this Fortnite was actually really good. Chainsaws were super fun, the Boom Billies were pretty much useless, but still a good idea and concept, and this season was just packed full of collabs, which are actually really cool. And who could forget the addition to the best location ever? Freaky Fields. But let's flame this season a little bit, and let's talk about the events. The Doom event was cool at first. I mean, everyone teaming up to take down a giant Dr. Doom, peak. But then we all defeated him within an hour, and Doom was just gone. Just like that. Anyway, time for Halloween. And don't even get me started on the Chapter 2 remix prelude. We actually have to give Fracture a ginormous apology, because at least that had something going on, and not just a party royale concert. Speaking of disappointment, the old Chapter 2 Season 4 Marvel Mythics were apparently supposed to return, but they just never did, which definitely disappointed so many people, me included. But Day of Doom was a pretty decent LTM though, so I guess there's that. So overall, this season had a great start, but a very disappointing finish.
Give me fuel, give me fire, give me that which I desire. Ooh.
Okay, put the pitchforks down. Let me explain myself. Yes, this season was packed full of problems and annoying items, but hear me out, okay? The cars. Let's just get these out of the way first. Basically, just the Mechs 2.0. I agree. But this is what made this season super fun. And throughout the season, we got so much stuff to combat the cars, I don't really see why everybody was still complaining. Okay, maybe I kind of do. But the Tri-Beam Laser Rifle, EMPs, Magneto Power, C4, all great counters to cars. Speaking of the Magneto Power, let's talk about that, too. Yes, it was super OP, but it's like a Chain of Hades situation for me. Fun to use, but very annoying to go up against. And again, I'm a zero build player, so it was even more annoying for me. The Fallout stuff was really cool. Tri-Beam was a fun little weapon, especially with its zero bullet drop, and Nuka-Cola was a fun little replacement for the Slurp Juice. The second main collab, Pirates of the Caribbean, was a neat little side thing, too. Definitely not as cool as the Avatar collab, but the Ship in the Bottle was a fun little item, and this collab also gave us Jack Sparrow, so no complaints there. Metallica was the main festival collab for this season, and we actually got a mythic in Battle Royale, which is Ride the Lightning, which was a fun little thing of mobility, but it was gone too soon, in my opinion. It should have stayed till the end. This season also had my favorite battle pass from this chapter: T-60 Power Armor, Magneto, Megalodon, The Machinist, Rust, peak skins across the board. This season also had the best medallions as well. We got the Machinist, who only gave 75 shield, which shockingly isn't even the most useful. Scar's infinite ammo, which was a good treat and would have been amazing with the minigun if it didn't get added in the last week. And Megalodon's infinite nitro. God, this thing makes me want to explode. Speaking of nitro, let's talk about that. This was so much fun to use before and after the nerf. Before nerf, it was super OP and crashing into people was so much fun. And after the nerf, it made using it harder, but still super fun to just knock people around with. Sure, you can complain it was super gay and stupid, but I play the game to have fun, people, and not to sweat my balls off. Another one of Megalodon's mythics were the fists, which absolutely everybody loved. These were fun, yes, but again, super annoying. But there were some really good mobility. This season also brought in reload, which was super refreshing to have after being on this godforsaken map for so long, and probably saved this season for a lot of people. The new locations were cool too. Brutal Beachhead was okay, but they remade Snooty Steps to be more desert themed, which was cool, and don't even get me started on the rig and Nitrodrome. The Nitrodrome was so unique in terms of how you actually have to wait in order to fight the boss, and how you can actually get rewards for waiting. I wish this mechanic stayed in Season 4 after Scar left, but I can kind of see why they left it behind. Then there was the event at the end of the season, which brought back Pandora's Box, and yes, it was disappointing to see it was just a mini event, not an actual live event, but as far as mini events go, it was pretty good. But overall, this season was super fun to me with a ton of flaws, yes, and I can see why people hated it, but in my opinion, this was the best Chapter 5 season. And so, there we have it. I've ranked all Chapter 5 seasons, and I'm sure people on the internet will not flame me for it. But anyway, let's all pray that Chapter 6 is going to be miles better than whatever this steaming pile of doggy doo was, and yes, I will be ranking that too. But anyway, that's going to be all from me. If you enjoyed, subscribe, join the Discord, and after you guys get done flaming me in the comments, feel free to share your guys' Chapter 5 ranking. But anyway, peace out.